Now on the CTV News at 5, after having a big surplus last year, Alberta is now in deficit territory. Plus, just how bad hail damage in the Brooks area last week really was. And the Lethbridge Hurricanes rookie training camp hits the ice.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. We're glad you could join us. Well, the bad news for Alberta's oil-reliant budget is set to get worse. Alberta's projecting a $6.5 billion deficit this year. That's over $1 billion more than its budget forecast, and is sparking calls for the province to slow down spending. The province calls this a perfect storm of lower oil prices, weaker global demand, and higher spending on health, education, and public sector wages, pressured by population growth. What's glaring, though, in today's financial update is a sharp decline in natural resource revenue, dropping to $15.7 billion. That's down from 38% from recent highs. Alberta has lowered its oil price forecast to $63 US per barrel, cutting deep into revenue, but economists are encouraged by increased oil production, with the Trans Mountain expansion greatly helping to narrow the Canada-US price differential. Meanwhile, with higher operating expenses, the province will dip into its contingency fund, taking out $700 million for wildfire. As for taxpayer-supported debt, it's projected to hit $84.3 billion, with interest payments of $3 billion. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation is speaking out against that, saying that amount alone is enough to build 3 new hospitals.
They got to figure out a way of managing healthcare without it breaking the bank. Because if you take a look at this budget, it's increasing in costs still, year over year over year.
Albertans want our government to be frugal, provide the services they need, and look for efficiencies and opportunities to speed up economic growth and stability. That's exactly what we'll do.
Now, despite the growing deficit, officials say Alberta's economy remains on solid footing. Consumer spending and housing starts are stronger than anticipated. Plus, we're expected to lead the country with a real GDP growth of 2% this year. As the new school year approaches for post-secondary students, early enrollment numbers are showing a decline as a result of international tuition caps. Lethbridge Polytechnic tells CTV that preliminary numbers have seen a decline in overall student enrollment this year, largely due to a 40% decrease in international students. At the same time, domestic enrollment has grown, with marked increases in apprenticeships and Indigenous student enrollments. Earlier this year, the institution announced that 53 permanent positions were cut as the school faced an $8 million budget shortfall due to the reduction in international student visas by the federal government. The University of Lethbridge says it's still too early to release its initial numbers.
We're a couple weeks away from the first day of classes. Enrollment is still happening. Students are still enrolling in courses. So it's, I won't be in a position to actually provide that information to you until a little bit later. But we can see the activities starting to percolate here on campus. We're starting to see more students here, and that kind of vibrancy is really what the university is all about.
The first day of classes at the Polytechnic is next Wednesday. The U of L welcomes students back on September the 8th. And while many students were off for the summer, a select few remained at the Polytechnic as research assistants, building skills and connections through applied research with industry and community partners. Alexander Kalick and Sierra Stromberg took part in the program over the summer. Kalick researched ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in regards to irrigation, while Stromberg worked on the community integration through arts, a multi-year study focusing on developing an arts-based social recreational peer support program. Both say that having the chance to continue their schooling over the summer has been proven beneficial.
I think it's really important. I get a lot of skills, like hands-on skills, and good leadership and delegation, because the project I'm on, it has kind of led into me becoming a project field lead. So a lot of good experience there.
I'm a criminal justice student, so creating spaces where I'm able to learn about the Indigenous community is super vital to ensure that I'm successful in my career. And carrying on that throughout the summer was awesome as a student. It's really nice to have a space where I can both be learning as a student as well as getting paid to do it.
Both students worked with the Center for Applied Research, Innovation and Entrepreneurship throughout the summer. Danielle Savoni is here to talk about the forecast and a slightly cooler but still hot Friday on the way, Danielle.
Yeah, we'll still get the heat back for long weekend, but right now it's a bit tamer when we look at temperatures. So 27 is the temperature in Medicine Hat. Milk River sitting at 20. All these communities were in the 30s yesterday. 24 is the current in Lethbridge. It's all thanks to a system that's pushing in from the States. It's also delivering some rainfall, as you know, as well. There you go, 24 degrees in Lethbridge at the moment. Still heat warnings in place for Lomond up through Brooks and Vulcan, but that will start to come to an end as temperatures really start to cool here. And there's a look at that system. This will deliver isolated showers and actually for the far southeast corner, some heavier rainfall. And this will last through parts of tomorrow as well. I'll be back with those details coming up, Jackie.
All right, thanks, Danielle. The Canadian Sphere Storms Laboratory says wind-driven hail damage in the Brooks area last week was among the worst their teams have ever documented. On August 20th, the researchers say a major storm affected a large swath, 80 kilometers long and 11 kilometers wide, between Brooks and areas to the north. The group sent teams to document the damage, and they say hailstones were up to 70 millimeters in diameter, winds between 120 and 165 kilometers an hour lasted 20 minutes or more. All buildings with west siding, plastic siding suffered 50 to 100% damage. Even vapor barriers were destroyed. There was heavy damage to asphalt shingles, metal roofs and trees, and crops were totally wiped out in some areas. We got a snapshot today of the state of sport in Canada, and it is, in a word, disturbing. The takeaway from the Future of Sport Commission preliminary report, abuse, harassment and discrimination are widespread and ongoing in a culture of silence. CTV's Andrew Johnson reports.
Do you see this?
They traveled the country for a year, speaking to hundreds of athletes, administrators, coaches, and parents. The consensus, clear.
The Canadian sports system is in crisis. As many have told us, it is broken.
The Future of Sport in Canada Commission found evidence of widespread abuse and mistreatment at all levels. A lack of protection for children and Olympians alike left vulnerable.
Physical punishment, sexual assault, training while injured, humiliation, intimidation, isolation tactics, failures to provide medical care, discrimination and exploitation.
The commission also found in a win-at-all-costs culture of silence, when an athlete musters up the courage to come forward, they often run into a brick wall.
Lost in the web of various complaints mechanism, resulting in many feeling helpless and abandoned.
The commission is making 71 recommendations for change. It suggests the creation of a unified national safe sport tribunal to eliminate the patchwork between local, provincial, and federally regulated organizations and enforce legislation at all levels. Federal funding being made conditional on compliance, background checks, and a nationwide public registry to flag wrongdoers and restrict access. Survivors of abuse like gymnast Amelia Klein say with the release of this report, their horrible experiences are finally being validated.
To have them influence what we hope is going to be meaningful change in the system is, there are hardly words to actually describe what that feels like.
She says the ball is now in Ottawa's court to act. These are only recommendations that, after another round of feedback, will then be presented to government. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Cranbrook's Kinsman Arena has been closed from some important safety repairs to deal with the chipping and peeling of lead-based paint on the arena's main beams. Now, the city says the temporary closure is a precaution to ensure the health and safety of all facility users. That also means changes to some events. The Career and Education Expo on September the 4th, it will now be held at the Cranbrook Curling Club. While the final night of roller skating, September the 7th, that will unfortunately not go ahead. Every effort is being made to have repairs complete for the October 2nd start of the hockey season. Lethbridge Police have begun a new initiative targeting good behavior. The service has partnered with Circle K for Operation Freeze, a positive ticketing initiative that will see young people rewarded for good behavior and acts of service or kindness. Officers, along with Circle K staff, will be handing out 1 free small Froster coupons to youth who may be wearing a helmet while on a bicycle, using a crosswalk, or doing good deeds such as holding the door open for someone. The program began nearly 20 years ago and has partnered with multiple police agencies across the country. Those involved hope the program will show youth that officers are safe and approachable whenever they are needed.
I think oftentimes police have to interact with people when it's not their best day. So I'm hoping that this creates an opportunity for police to build connections and positive interactions with the youth just on an ongoing basis.
One story that really resonates with me, where a victim service officer gave a coupon to a child and a year later saw that officer and said, "I remember you because you gave me a Froster coupon." And that just gave me chills right then. And I just thought that just goes to show what one little kind act can do for kids.
Lethbridge Police have been provided with 1,000 Operation Freeze coupons to hand out over the coming weeks. And an update from police about 2 youth reported missing a couple of weeks ago. 12-year-old Siobhan Small Eyes has been located. However, police are still trying to locate 14-year-old Chanting Small Eyes. If you have any information, you're asked to contact Blood Tribe Police. Now to an emotional homecoming for a Manitoba man who's been gone from the province for 5 decades. Jonathan Hooker was born on Moose Lake First Nation, but was taken from his family in the 1970s as part of the 60 Scoop and was adopted by a family in New Zealand. CTV's Joseph Bernacki has the story of the very long journey home.
It was a whirlwind of emotion for Jonathan Hooker upon his return to the province where he was born.
It's the first time I've actually laid eyes on my mother. It's all a bit overwhelming to be here today, so yeah, it's pretty cool.
It was a return 5 decades in the making. Hooker was taken from his birth family in Moose Lake First Nation in 1975. At the time, the 18-month-old child was one of an estimated 30,000 Indigenous children taken from their homes in what has become known as the 60 Scoop. Hooker was adopted by a family in New Zealand and hasn't returned to the province until now.
I didn't know anything about the 60 Scoop until probably about 5 years ago, and then I've only really, in the last year or so, really learned actually how it all played out. And yeah, it's been a journey, all right.
At Winnipeg's airport, Hooker's return was an opportunity to reunite with his birth mother and extended family from northern Manitoba. Hooker will return to Moose Lake First Nation for a 3-week stay. His long way home began with a discovery from a simple ancestry test gifted by his mother-in-law. Watching him arrive in the terminal, Hooker's mother was overcome with emotion.
I'm happy to see my son. I thought I would never see him again. He was only 2 months old when they took him away from me.
60 Scoop advocate Colleen Rajat says Hooker's return shows more effort is needed to reunite the thousands of Indigenous families that were separated years ago.
Many people don't realize that up to 3,000 of our children were sent out of Canada and around the world, and we need to make sure that every one of those children can come back home.
For Hooker, he's hopeful his story will be an inspiration to others looking for answers about their own past.
Hopefully somebody else again will see this and hopefully maybe start looking for their family, or give them clues to reach out and help.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
A new Terry Fox documentary is in the works. The man behind it says it will include a treasure trove of unseen footage. Toronto filmmaker Sean Menard says he has pulled from more than 90 reels of restored and mostly unseen footage for the film. It's titled Run, Terry, Run. The film sheds light on the hurdles the Canadian icon faced along the Marathon of Hope and is set for release later this year. Terry Fox united Canadians in an effort to raise money for cancer research through his run, though his run was cut short and he died in 1981. Well, Danielle is back with your long weekend forecast right after this break. Also, Canadian pediatricians are sounding the alarm over supplements used by young people while working out.
Skywatch weather camera. Ooh, we have some darker clouds today, don't we? Yes, it's that system from the States pushing in some cloud cover and also a little bit of rainfall as well in the Lethbridge area. More rainfall off to the east. I'll show you the radar in just a moment. Temperatures still hot, but not as hot as what we've had for the past couple of days. 27 degrees, the high so far in Calgary, 31 in Edmonton and Saskatoon, 30 in Regina. And as you can see, those are the hotter areas for the most part anyway in the country. And look at this, 27 degrees in Medicine Hat, so significantly cooler than yesterday, 24 in Lethbridge and 20 in Milk River. So quite a difference in that southeast corner for today, and we'll hold on to somewhat cooler temperatures as well tomorrow, and then things will climb back up once again. So there are still heat warnings in place, although again, as you've just seen, it's not quite as warm. So these will start to drop off. They may be reissued in a couple of days as things start to heat up again, but our overnight lows for this next, you could say, heat stretch won't be quite as warm as what we've had this time around. So it may not even spark up these heat warnings for next time, although the days will be hot. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's fast forward to radar satellite imagery. There's that system pushing in from the States. You can see the heaviest rainfall is south of Medicine Hat, south of Brooks as well, where we're seeing some heavier pockets. That will continue on and off for the rest of today through parts of tomorrow as well. And then this is a look at 1:30 tomorrow. So still in the far southeast corner. And then later in the day, in the afternoon tomorrow, because it's unstable, because of this system, it may spark up a couple isolated showers and non-severe thunderstorms in many parts of southern Alberta. So that's the forecast as we head through for the far south. Really, it's just a look at this system for the next 12 to 18 hours. Small risk of a thunderstorm in the East Kootenay area for tonight or for this evening. Small risk tomorrow again. 30 degrees is the high for tomorrow. Cruises past 26 for tomorrow with a small chance of showers from the system, but certainly some cloud cover from it. Medicine Hat, looking at the cloud cover, the showers for tomorrow, 60%. So just a 30% for the rest of today, 60% chance of showers for tomorrow, and just a high of 23 degrees. Lethbridge, 24 for tomorrow. Small chance of showers, but certainly some cloud cover out there. Then we bump back up. So there you go. There's the next heat stretch. So the days will be hot, but at least the overnight lows will be just ranging between 9 and 11 degrees.
Canadian researchers are warning about the risks of popular workout supplements. In a new survey, hundreds of pediatricians say an increasing number of kids are consuming protein powder and creatine. CTV's Pauline Chan reports on the potential health risks.
The survey looked at 857 pediatricians across Canada and showed 17% of them had dealt with adolescents who needed medical attention because of dietary supplements or performance-type drugs over the past year.
Most of them are related to things like gastrointestinal issues or maybe some sort of like cardiac issues, maybe in arrhythmias, things of that nature.
Kidney problems were also common. The vast majority of the patients were boys. More than half were aged 13 to 15, and a third were aged 10 to 12. More than half of the doctors say they never screen regularly for supplements or performance-enhancing chemicals, and a quarter said they had no knowledge about the substances.
I think the important thing is just to recognize, especially for parents and pediatricians and healthcare providers at large, is that these dietary supplements in particular are very, very easily accessible. You can buy them at Costco, you can buy them at Shoppers.
Items such as whey powder, pre-workout mixes, and creatine are also available online. And lead researcher Kyle Ganson says their use has been increasing in teens recently.
Certainly social media is a big proponent of this and obviously influencing a lot of young people to go towards some of these supplements.
Use of illegal drugs such as anabolic steroids has also been on the rise in kids, and Ganson says the harms are not just physical.
Also things like body image issues or other disordered eating patterns or overexercising, which again can also cause some other problems.
He says parents and healthcare providers need to know more about these substances and encourage safe use of them. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, we check out day one of the Lethbridge Hurricanes training camp. With the hockey season right around the corner, the Lethbridge Hurricanes opened up their training camp today. Returning players and new faces have been split up into two groups. Both groups will have a regular practice and then a skills session each day at camp. This year's camp features 84 players, including 50 forwards, 28 defensemen, and 6 goaltenders. Hurricanes head coach Matt Anholt says this year's team will be fairly young, with about 80% of the team new players to the league. It's also Anholt's first season as head coach, a role he says he's looking forward to.
It's really early, but it's been exciting. Nice to get on the ice and kind of meet some of these kids and see some faces. Obviously, our team has a lot of new faces this year, so it's been nice to talk with some of those kids as they've been coming over the last few days, and nice to see those guys on the ice. And obviously adding a couple new staff members this year as well, and Matt Weninger and Torrin White. So just exciting, lots of smiling faces for sure.
Pretty sweet to come. Local team, I grew up watching the Hurricanes, so to come in and have a chance to play for them is pretty neat.
Training camp runs until Sunday. Fans can come watch for free, but they are encouraged to bring a non-perishable food item donation for the food banks. Hockey Canada's orientation camp is being held in Calgary this week, meaning the nation's best players are there. The 2026 Winter Olympic Games are being held in Italy. Gathering in Calgary is a chance for the men, women, and para-athletes to bond and share some stories as Team Canada before the Games. For the men, this is their first appearance in the Olympics since 2014 in Sochi.
Yeah, I think just getting to know everyone, getting as much preparation as far as knowing what to expect when we go there. But yeah, it's a lot of things crammed into 3 days here, but it's really important for us, and obviously as Team Canada, you want to try to come together as best you can.
I know for myself, the hockey after the Four Nations was the fastest, tightest checking, most difficult hockey I've ever played and ever been a part of, so I can only imagine, what it's going to be like at the Olympics.
Uyghur is the lone flame to get an invite to the orientation camp. There are 4 Calgarians taking part, including Aiden Hill, Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, and Braden Point. The Winter Olympics run from February the 6th to the 26th. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, the city of Red Deer is preparing to return one of its most famous residents. We've got that story next. The city of Red Deer is preparing to welcome home a beloved member of the community, and they're making sure it doesn't disappear ever again. Francis the pig made headlines in the 1990s after escaping a slaughterhouse. The pig was on the run for several months, capturing the hearts of people who reported sightings and pleaded for his life to be spared. The statue, made to commemorate the pig's story, was removed in 2023 after the supports holding it in place were cut. Now, fearing that the statue would be stolen by metal thieves, the artist spent nearly 2 years making a new reinforced base.
There are 2 upright rails from a railroad in there. They're vertical, 2 of them. There's not going to be much of a way to saw through all that.
Here was this pig that tested the odds and rebelled against the system and managed to escape to freedom. And people loved that. People loved that this little guy had created his own chance for himself.
Francis the pig's new look is being kept under wraps until tomorrow, when it will be unveiled near the Central Spray and Play Park. Thank you for sharing this time with us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.